All right, welcome everybody. I'm Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and I've got a special guest with me today. It's Supreem from Citadel.
Hey,
Supreem,
everybody.
hello. How's it going?
Good, doing great. Busy, but good.
What is it? What? Okay, so you say busy. Now, what is your title? What do you do?
Okay, well, I am officially project lead is the title that I like to use. Um,
Okay.
I founded Citadel Studios back in 2013, and we kickstarted Shards Online, now Legends of Aria, in December 2014, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how all this got started. We changed the name from Shards Online to Legends of Aria in about 2017. The main point of that was the size of the maps with Shards Online was relatively small, and so we wanted to shake the stigma that we weren't an MMO, that we were this kind of like set quasi MMO, more multiplayer game.
Mm-hmm.
So with the vast open world of Celador in Legends of Aria, it just made sense to change the name, and that's how we arrived at the new name.
So, okay. Let me just ask a little bit of history stuff here,
Sure.
because some people may actually have not seen the game before
Right.
because they saw shards and they said,
Not quite
not
an
gonna
MMO.
play it. Yeah, and
Hmm.
so how did you guys end up so dramatically changing the look of the game?
Well, the just the general graphic appearance of the game was just like a slow, general, improvement over time. So when we launched our Shards Online Alpha, we knew that that was very far from our visual target. We had a visual target we were constantly aiming to hit, and so that's just something that's kind of um, happened over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I can't think of many games that have gone through such a transformative period in them, though,
Right.
because it looked so different.
It is a little bit the nature of crowdfunding too, because you show a game way earlier than most projects show their game to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see that kind of dramatic shift from super early development all the way to launch, where other games don't see that full transition.
Right. Yeah. All right. So, and what is the state of the game today? It's fully launched, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, we could quickly go over the history of launch since our final wipe. So we did our final character wipe in December. Um, we weren't quite ready to hit Steam yet. And so our final wipe was still just being sold on our own website.
Mm-hmm.
We got to the point where we were ready for Steam in I believe it was August. Yeah, yeah. So we launched on Steam in August. Um, when we launched on Steam, we made a little bit of a shift to the rules, which kind of shook things up a little bit, and we can talk about the thinking behind that if you want to get into it. But we can move on from that. Then in let's see here, December, we launched what we call New Dawn, which was a
Mm-hmm.
return to the PvP rules prior to Steam launch, with some additional stuff for dealing with criminal action. So pre-Steam, we had the karma system. Well, even at Steam launch, we had the karma system, which
Mm-hmm.
negative actions would cause you to lose karma, and then losing karma would eventually slide you down into becoming an outcast. We never were really able to get that exactly how we wanted it, and so with New Dawn, we decided to go to something that's a little more tested, true and tested, which is a traditional criminal system, where when you commit a criminal act, you're kind of open to attack by anybody, and then
Mm.
once you start killing people, you start turning into a murderer or outcast, and that's where your kill on sight from guards and that
Right,
sort of thing.
right. Your karma or your alignment or whatever just gets
Mhm.
so low that you're just automatically fair game to anybody.
Right. And New Dawn was a really, really big release for us in December. I don't think you've played a whole lot since New Dawn, so I could
I
quickly
haven't.
talk about a
Yeah.
few things there. So obviously we talked about the return to the kind of PvP anywhere kind of system. In fact, we actually reduced the guarded areas even smaller than they were pre-Steam, to just our town areas. The criminal system I talked about. there's a thing called a township board where you can kind of give in resources for credits, and then you can get other resources. So if you're a combat character, you can trade in all the hides that you get if you are trying to get cotton, right? So it's just kind of like
Oh.
a bartering system.
Hmm.
It just helps players who play one particular play style get access to some of the other items in the game. The
Interesting.
martial ability system was basically active abilities for warriors. So, similar to a spell book for mages, warriors have a martial ability, a book which gives them access to a whole bunch of really cool abilities. Um, it really makes meleeers a lot more fun to play. They're completely different now than they were pre New Dawn.
Hmm.
We added this thing called the Leagues of Celador, and that's kind of our quest content for those players that kind of like a little bit more structured PVE. There's a bunch of different leagues. Actually, it's not even just PVE because there's crafting leagues as well. But it's just a little bit more structured content for those players who like it. It's totally optional and not required, but a lot of players really enjoy it. We added world bosses that spawn in the world. They drop awesome loot, including artifacts. Artifacts was something we introduced, I believe, was introduced with New Dawn, which are items that kind of have extended properties beyond just like this is armor,
Hmm.
and weapons. So the two artifact types are helmets and weapons. The reason we only did two things is because we still want crafters to be relevant. So even if you're rocking a artifact weapon and artifact helmet, you still have to go to your crafter for your legs and your chest.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Then resource missions. That was something we did out of need because the wilderness is everywhere. We want our crafters to be able to level up without being a target. So with resource missions, since the locations where they spawn is dynamic, it's much harder for you to be hunted by the criminal element in our game.
Oh,
Um,
does that mean like the mines move?
no,
What do
no.
you?
So the resource missions are I literally just spawn some resources in the world,
Oh,
and you gain some skill off of gathering from that spot.
I see.
Yeah, so it's very similar to our PVE missions, but for
But you'd have to go
harvesting.
to town for that, right?
You go to a town, and there'll be the resource mission givers there. I forget what they call them, and he'll offer you a mission, and you go out and
I
harvest.
I just placed my house like really out in the boonies.
Actually, that's a good segue into our next thing, which is rune books. I see you don't have one yet, but
Right.
rune books basically allow for fast travel.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's very similar to UO rune books. Only there's one major difference in that instead of relying on Sacred Journey, which was the kind of non-mage way to travel, fast travel for Ultima Online, we actually allow you to charge up your rune book. Oh, actually, I guess also you had recall scrolls in UO.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so, um, but in our game, you can actually charge up the rune book with a mage spell. So if you know a mage, you can give him your rune book. He can charge it up for you. I think you can get up to 10, maybe 20 charges on your rune book to just use the runes freely.
I see. And so,
So
but you have to hand every 10. You have to hand it over to a mage to do that again.
yeah. Well, also, scrolls are castable now, so you don't need skill to cast a scroll. So you can get a hold of recall, charge runebook scrolls and charge up your runebook with those.
Oh, cool.
So yep.
Yeah.
And then we introduced stealing and snooping, which something that our players have been asking for a very very long time. It was one of those kind of key features of Ultima Online that was missing from Legends of Aria, so we managed to get that in. Um,
Why
and
does everybody
then
like that feature so much?
I
All the
think it
games I
really
play,
adds
people are
to.
like, "Can I steal?"
I think it adds to the sandboxing nature of the game. The fact that we try to limit the rules that we impose on our players. It's one of the things that really
Hmm.
makes our game different from just about every other MMO out there. Is we try to put as few restrictions on players and the interaction between players as possible without completely descending into chaos, right? So that's one of those things that players just love to be able to do. So I think it's kind of
Yeah.
a hallmark.
I never got into it, but and then I just get irritated when people steal shit from me. But
Yeah. Well, so we don't allow stealing in town, so you can still AFK in towns.
hmm.
But yeah, you want to watch standing out in the wilderness outside of your house, your target.
Yeah.
So, and we also our Oasis town has no guards in it anymore, so you can freely steal from people in Oasis.
Hmm.
Um, so the other thing that we did is we made some pretty major changes to militias. So we really want to open militias up to a larger percentage of our players. The problem with the militia system before was that you were always flagged for militia combat everywhere you went. So unless you had two characters, you really didn't want to be in militias because if you're out hunting now, you're just free target for anybody with no criminal penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what we did is we changed it around so that you only get flagged for militia combat when you're near a militia event.
Oh,
So that allows you to put your main character into militias and not have to worry about, being ganked by another militia member in a dungeon.
that also would put a higher concentration of people to combat against in an
Yeah,
area.
yeah. It also helps with people who are trying to exploit the militia system. They have to do it at a militia event now, so other people can go there and stop them by killing them.
Right.
They're just killing your alts or whatever, so they have to actually do that at an event now. So it helped with that as well.
Good point of
Um,
contention.
Yeah, we have some really big militia changes coming in our next update, which is mid-January, and we'll be talking about that tonight in the town hall.
Mid-January. Wait, what?
I'm behind a month somehow. Mid-February. I wish it was launched in mid-January because I'd be playing militias right now. Yeah, so um, mid-February would be the release, and we'll be actually demoing some of the new militia content in the town hall. We kind of leaked a screenshot of the militia stuff that's coming in the Legends of Aria Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if I can link this in your. Let's see if it'll let me post a link in your stream. Hey, it did. I posted in the Twitch stream.
All right.
Um, it's a keep basically is what you're looking at there. It's
Oh.
yeah. So we'll be getting into details about how that's going to work tonight. So we're also raffling off a very high value plot. Um, if you have a way to get to Eldir, there's a plot that's up for auction in Eldir.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most valuable plot in the game, maybe one of the most valuable. And you can buy a raffle ticket for 20 gold. And we're going to be picking a raffle ticket at random, but we're allowing people to buy as many raffle tickets as they want. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a dual purpose. It allows the house to go to somebody, but it also allows us to take a whole bunch of gold out of the game. Um,
Ah,
but yeah, feel free to jump over there and
a gold sink.
participate. Yeah, yeah, we've sold a lot of tickets.
Huh.
So, um, yeah, so that's kind of what we've been up to, and we've done a lot of our focus since New Dawn launch has been on not only bug fixes for new stuff from New Dawn, but also a lot of quality of life. We didn't have
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity to get all the quality of life stuff into the New Dawn release, so we ended up kind of putting it in since then. So simple things, just making it easier to list items and just lots of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of been our focus aside from the next release. So.
So I just had an idea.
Mhm.
Is there any way for players to auction off anything in the game, or is that just a single thing for that you guys are doing?
Um, well, actually, when I created this raffle controller system to raffle off this house, I kind of built it with that in mind to be able to allow players to use the same raffle system that we're using to raffle this house.
Mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm.
haven't made it available to players yet, but it's something that we definitely could do, and I think probably will because it's a lot of fun.
I have an insane amount of requests for these Marquee Dragon masks, and
Yeah.
I don't need the gold from it or whatnot, but I thought, oh,
Right.
that might be a good item to raffle off.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be
So
cool.
I've been offered $500 for one of these masks
That's awesome.
by more than one person, and I'm like, you just got to come and win one on the show.
Yeah. Our players are pretty passionate, so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Doesn't
it's
surprise
pretty,
me.
pretty incredible. Yeah, so and somebody will win one today! Exclamation point giveaway in chat. So you can
Cool.
get in on that. It's free to get in on it, and if you win, you'll get an email with a code that'll redeem for it.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, probably one of the things I would like to talk about, if you're willing to, is to talk about why we kind of shifted to less open PvP and then back to more PvP
yeah, okay.
from
So let
Steam
me
to
let,
New
let's
Dawn.
start. Let's start with my perception on that, which
Okay.
might be what most people would think.
Okay.
I don't know, but at least it was my perception that at the beginning there was PvP. It was more so PvP, and then it seemed to me that like it was a reaction to people were like, "Oh, I'm tired of getting killed out in the wilderness," and so you extended these areas and everything, and then life was good for a lot of people, not as conflict for people, but there was a lot of people. Like Cat's Purr, who's a streamer and everything, she really liked that. And then we went back to this now where it's even more restrictive and it's much more PvP. Although I haven't had anybody try and fight me since I've been playing.
Right.
But so what was the? I mean, kind of. It seemed to me to be like reactions to what people were complaining about.
It was a lot more well thought out than that.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so
now that was my perception. So what's the reality?
Sure, yeah. So here's the thing. I kind of believed in the everybody who played UO always had this mentality that, oh, if you just created a game like Ultima Online, it would be this massive hit, right?
No, that's not true. But yes, go ahead.
So, giving players, I don't believe it to that extent, but I always believe that giving players enough freedom where they could build their character however they want, play the game, live in their world, like you just don't feel a lot of ownership in most modern MMOs. And I really felt like if we brought, that kind of concept to like a modernized graphics, build like a UO style game, that it would really attract a lot more people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when we were watching from the final wipe, we were seeing a lot of people falling off saying, oh, I got tired of being ganked. And it was the kind of like more casual crowd that was saying that sort of thing. So, in order to try and these games live and die by population, right? It wasn't just like, oh, we want to make millions of dollars. It's like we want LOA to be successful. It
Right.
therefore needs a lot of players. So we felt that if we brought this game to the Steam audience, with the sort of hardcore rule set that it had, that it wouldn't get the population that we were hoping for to kind of grow the game to something majestic, right? And so that was we very, very carefully made that decision to say, okay, well, we're going to keep PvP, unrestricted PvP, in just a smaller area of the world to allow our players to skill up to max level in safety and then participate in PvP when they're ready. Right. So that was kind of the mentality behind the switch at Steam. So what happened with that was it worked and it didn't work at the same time. So it did attract those types of players. But the problem is there's so many MMOs out there for those types of players that they didn't stick around very long. They played the game for a couple months, they really enjoyed it, and then they moved on to something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what those changes actually did was it actually kind of alienated the players that we had that were stuck around, right? So it had this effect that like short term it was good for the game, it gave it a nice kind of boost, but in the long term, the people who came to the game did not stick around, and the people who were sticking around kind of went on to other things, right? Because they were
Mm-hmm.
looking for that hardcore experience. So it's like, in hindsight, I would say that probably we should have just stuck with the hardcore rules and went with it and just said, look, we know, it is the sort of game that appeals to a very specific type of player, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the hardcore PvP rules with New Dawn was basically us acknowledging that our game serves a very specific audience of players really, really well, and that we should just stick with that. You know what I mean? Like, those players are faithful and passionate, and they're here to stay. And so it made a lot of sense for us after watching those kind of casual Steam players just kind of go off to do other things, return our game to the specific kind of focus that our core players that have been here forever really, really
The
want.
niche.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of serve our niche much better with the New Dawn rule set than we did with the Steam rule set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
So
far, it's been
that's
fine for me.
yeah,
But
yeah. I
nobody's
mean, the
attacked me.
criminal system is great in the sense that it really does discourage criminal activity, right? So
I have
you
run
really
into people and they haven't attacked me. You know, I've like talked to them out in the middle of the forest and stuff.
that's cool. Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
yeah, but I've been ready.
yeah. That's the
So
little bit of a lesson on why we went. A lot of players don't. A lot of people who, I mean, our core player base knows that. I've told them, but I think a lot of people who just kind of know of our game but don't know why we changed the rules back and forth. Um, to them it just looks like, oh, it was a money grab at Steam to try and get everybody, and it's like, well, we did do it to get more population, because the game, we wanted more people playing
hmm
LOA,
hmm
you know. So
yeah, have you ever played Eve?
yes, I've put quite a long a few hours in Eve.
Right, right, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, and
So
so and have you ever been like ganked in Eve?
I lived in Zero Sec. I was in the Atlas Alliance.
So
So
you
this was,
experienced death from time to time.
oh, I mean, the Russians would just punish us. And then there was that one corporation that was really good at just like ganking people. Started with a P. Pet. I don't know, but yeah, yes, I participated in Eve Wars and all kinds of
hmm
stuff. So
hmm
I don't have
Has
time for it anymore, unfortunately.
right, right. Well, who does when you have a
Yeah.
job? Um, but the the um, has any of your experience?
Pandemic Legions. Yep, that's the ones.
Yeah. Is any of your experience from Eve trickled into how you've developed Legends of Aria?
So Eve has a lot of things um, in its that to its advantage that are extremely difficult to translate into a fantasy game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the main reason why Eve works is because the world is so big. And when I say world, the universe, right?
Right, right.
And that they have these choke points everywhere. It really allows for a level of territory control that's extremely difficult to pull off in a fantasy game. And I've spent many hours thinking about how you can translate that. But yeah, it is difficult. We even originally, like, if you go back and look at the original designs of Shards of Line, we intended to have like a high security and a medium security, a zero security, and
Mm-hmm.
and without the choke points, it doesn't work. It's
Right,
just weird. And
right.
we tried to create choke points with like mountain ranges and stuff. It's just so, yeah. We
Yeah,
tried.
yeah, and with like the in UO having majory, and using recall books and all that stuff, it allows you to bypass the choke points.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah, it's a challenge.
yeah, I could see that.
But I definitely think that our game does appeal to an Eve player in the sense that there is a lot of risk versus reward in the game. So, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. There's not a lot of game design concepts that are mirrored, but at the same time, it appeals to a similar player that likes less rules, more freedom, and more risk versus reward.
Yeah, I won't play games that are too safe,
Hmm.
or should I say, I don't stick around as long in games that are real safe because without without getting ganked every once in a while or whatnot, then where is the tension? Where is the conflict? And
Right.
and without that, that's missing a large portion of the content.
Hmm.
So,
It's
and I'm
true.
not saying that as a content creator. I'm saying that as a player, you
Right.
know, if there's no risk, then what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it tends to scare away streamers a little bit because of the stream sniping. Um, it's one of those things that's extremely difficult to stream because you just become a giant target.
Right, and I've encountered that. Believe
Yeah.
me. So, yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, okay, so I do have another question,
Okay.
and this is a question that came up before we started today, and so I was getting asked, and I didn't know the answer
Hmm.
of what is the difference between just signing up and playing for free against paying for, uh, an account against having, VIP.
Okay. Sure. So our free to play, we call them free accounts, have access to just about all the content in the game, with the exception of housing. They also cannot create guilds. There's a lot of things that we put into the free account restrictions to avoid people abusing them
Mm-hmm.
um, in game. So you can't trade with other players because people would use bots to trade
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So most of the free restrictions are focused around preventing people from being able to abuse our game with free accounts. But the main one for a normal player is housing, right? Like housing is a hallmark of one of these games. That's what really makes you have a home in the world, and so you
Mm-hmm.
have to have a paid account in order to own a house. Now, a paid account you can get it one of two ways. Either you can pay for Citizens Pass and you never have to buy a subscription. You can just, with a Citizens Pass, you can get a house, you can create a guild.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or as long as you have an active subscription, you will have the free restrictions are unlocked. And even once you've paid for 3 months of subscription, it permanently removes the free restrictions.
Right.
So,
So,
you pay $20
huh.
for Citizens Pass or $30 for 3 months of subscription. Either
Mm-hmm.
way, you're going to unlock the free stuff. Now, the perks with a premium account, there's probably three main ones. So, well, four. So, one of them is power hours. So, you get a daily power
Right.
hour
I noticed that, and it's per character. I was surprised.
per. Is it?
Yeah. Each one of
Okay.
my characters has it when I log
Yeah, that
in.
might be right. Yeah. So you get your daily power hour. You get you're allowed to own two houses instead of one. Now that's that's one thing that's helpful for people who want to be like buying and selling houses, because if you can only have one house in your
Ah.
account, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes it limiting, right? Because you can only have one at a time. So the two house thing, and then also you never pay taxes. Now our
Right.
tax rate when we first launched the kind of like house taxes thing, the tax value amount was very high.
We
So
were all a
just
slave.
yeah, it was like a gold sink, right? I mean, that's what it was intended to be.
Yeah.
And so we backed away off of that because it was just kind of scaring people away. So
It was too
now,
hard. It
yeah,
was too hard to come up with the money as a casual player. As a
right.
hardcore player, no problem, but a casual player, yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, so taxes right now is like more of a nominal thing, just to make sure that active players keep houses and inactive players don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can
Mm-hmm.
only put up to, I think, 2 months of money into your tax balance. So if you stop playing, your house is eventually going to go away.
Right.
But the nice thing about the premium subscription is that you just don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And even like a lot of people who have premium subscriptions will fill their tax balance. That way, if their premium sub lapses, at least they don't have to worry about it for a little while. Their
Right.
second house will go up for auction though. If their premium sub lapses after 7 days, they'll be susceptible to the next house auction for their second home.
Oh, but you so I see. So you can't have a
Yeah,
second home without premium.
correct.
I see. Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's working out really good. What we wanted to make sure we focused on with the premium subscription is that it's a totally an optional thing, right? I mean, it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
money grab. No, it's what we use to keep the development of the game running.
Yeah, for all of you people out
Oh,
there that think that you should be able to play everything for free forever,
yeah.
I got to tell you, it costs an enormous amount of money to make these games,
If our
and
servers were free and we didn't do any new development on the game, then we wouldn't need to ask for money. That would be great.
yeah, yeah. So it's a balance of
Yeah.
not feeling like to the players that it's a money grab. Well, you just got to provide value. If you provide value
Yeah.
for the dollars, then it's a fair exchange.
We took a very different route from Shroud of the Avatar with our kind of in-game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to avoid giving too many decorations in
Oh
our
my God,
store.
there are so many items.
Yeah. And so the reason for that is, your house is like kind of a trophy case for your adventure, right? Like what you show off in your house is stuff that you've gotten from the world, right? And so by avoiding selling deco in our store, it allows people to really feel good about their homes, because
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff was stuff they legitimately acquired through the game, with the exception of a few items. There's like two or three items I think that you can buy that are house decorations. So yeah.
I really like the mounts that I got with the subscription. I popped for a 12-month today.
Oh
And
man, that's awesome. Yeah, you got the war bear then.
yeah, well, I actually think that I like the horse better.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the savage horse is cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah,
But
I got both of them, and it just feels good.
mhm.
So,
So we kind of borrowed that concept from Ultima Online had a concept of a veteran reward system.
oh yeah, I remember
Um,
that.
and so, we have what we call premium account age, and it's just how many months of subscription you've paid for.
Hmm.
So you can kind of get your premium account age upfront, right? So if you buy a 6 month subscription, you get 6 months worth of account age right off the bat.
So are
Um,
you gonna? So in a year from now, are you gonna come out with a 18-month and a 24-month thing?
that's the idea. I mean, we actually do have an 18-month mount already. That's the Royal Llama, which is really cool.
Okay, okay. And if my premium lapses, do I
Mhm.
still have this horse?
Yes, your account age does not go away.
All right,
So once
cool.
you've accumulated account age, it stays with you.
Uh huh.
So. Mhm.
So, and of course, in chat, they're like, well, we need to put a Marquee Dragon mask on the horse.
Yeah, right? Heck
It
yeah.
actually might work.
Yeah. You actually get an item right at the first month of account age. So when you sign up for a premium subscription, you get one
Hmm.
month of account age and you get the expert cloak, which I see you're wearing there.
Yes. It
So
looks really good with my mask.
yeah, it does. It matches.
Yeah, it actually works really well. I was surprised. I was like, did you make it for that?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been an awesome ride. Obviously, transitioning from primarily game sales to being more of a long-term strategy with premium subscriptions and store items. That was a tough transition for us, and it took us a long time to really arrive at a solution that we don't feel damages the integrity of the game.
Hmm.
So for us, that was difficult and that was a long road, but we're really happy with where it ended up, and it feels like our players are too.
Yeah. Yeah. I, well, the biggest thing for me recently is this freaking FPS because I was having so much problems on my Mega machine, and then we built this other machine, and now it's working beautiful. And
Hmm.
it's like, damn, it's a whole new game.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it must be amazing to just have that unlocked for you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really thrilled about that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I think my horse here, I think those are actually like worms in his eyes or something. He's got a little bit of an infection.
Yeah. Well, one of our technical artists had a real. He just loved those like wispy particles. So we got a
Hmm.
bunch of that in there. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, for you, since you really haven't played much, if you open your profession window, that's the little shield with the
Got it.
um, um,
It's like the
yeah.
family
It's.
crest.
I'm just waiting for the delay. So yeah. So doing these will help you kind of get along through. Like when you unlock Master and Grandmaster for Fighter, you'll get your access to your abilities. Actually, I think you even get one at Journeyman. You'll get three
Mm.
prestige abilities,
Hmm.
and also you're going to need to get yourself a Martial book. I think they're sold in towns. You could be really cheesy and just create a character with martial prowess because they come with a book, and then just kind of throw it in one of your chests in your house,
Oh,
and you'll get it for
nah,
free.
we don't need cheese like that.
Yeah, it works.
It's
But
the journey for me, not the end.
right, right, yeah. So you'll want to get yourself a martial book. You'll want to get onto your professions,
Hmm.
and you probably being you enjoy PVE content, right? So you
Yeah.
might want to experiment with the League content, the Leagues of Celador, especially if you. I believe there's
And the league
um,
stuff is PVE.
yes.
Oh, that's not the first thing I thought of when I heard about it.
Yeah, so Leagues of Celador is our structured quest content, and
Oh, I hate quests. Okay, continue on.
um, so it's just structured PVE, right? It just gives you access to some cool freebies and stuff, or not freebies, but rewards by
Oh,
completing the
oh, well,
objectives.
I may check it out. I'm not
Yeah.
much of a quest person, but
Gotcha.
I'm very sandboxy. I'm very
Right.
like I just want to go around and figure out what I'm going to do based on what looks interesting.
Sure.
So,
As far as new sandbox content, New Dawn, there's the world bosses, which you're going to need a guild. They're kind of large group kind of content.
mhm.
Then there is the dynamic spawns. So a lot of places in the world just generally have these spawns that get like progressively harder and better, and they drop lesser artifacts. And those you can do in a small group, or if you're skilled up pretty good, you can. Some of them you can do by yourself, I believe. So that'll give you access to some lesser artifacts.
All right, a
Yeah,
lot of stuff to discover.
definitely. Yeah,
So,
I could talk quickly about some of the things that are coming in the next release. So the big one I mentioned is the militia changes, and we're also adding a bazaar. Now it's not an auction house in the sense that you can just buy items anywhere from it, but what it does is it lets you find the item. So it's more of like a listing of merchants and what merchants have for sale.
mhm.
Ultima Online had this in offline mode. Like I think there was some guy that ran a script that like inventoried all the merchants and then listed it on a website, I think.
Oh,
So we kind of just built that into the game because we noticed that newer players, especially our people checking out the game with a free account, they were struggling to get access to a lot of the real basic items because you had to go window shopping for everything, right? You had to go from player run merchant to player run merchant, and
mhm.
if you just need a pouch or you just need a crafting table for your house, you could wander for an hour before you find a merchant that has one of those items listed. So the
Right.
bazaar is, I believe, is going to help out a lot with keeping people who are interested in the game engaged in it by giving them access to the stuff that they need in order to play. And it's going to help merchants too, right? Because they're going to be able to sell a lot more now that they can list their items.
Right.
So a
And
lot
will
of
they
our yeah, go ahead.
when they list items, will they still be displaying them at their house
Yes.
location or?
Yep. So player merchants won't change at all. It's more of a way to search for items. You can pre-purchase the item from the bazaar to make sure that the item's not bought while you're on your way there. But when you
And then
get there, you pick it up from the merchant. It's kind of like
all right.
online
It's like
ordering.
yeah. It's like your Amazon pickup box.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I ordered this. I got to go down to the post box
Yeah.
and pick it up.
It was really important when we designed the system to make sure that distance still mattered. We still want merchants who have places close to town to be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
valuable for two reasons. Number one, window shopping is still a thing. You don't might not know what you're looking for, where the bazaar is very specific. I'm looking for a pouch, you know. But also, when you see items in the bazaar, it tells you how far away, as the crow flies, the merchant is. So people will tend to buy items from merchants that are closer, just because they don't have to go as far to get it.
Yeah. Eve does a good job of that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They have a
So
lot of different places where you can list items every single solar
yes,
system. It's crazy.
yes, yes. It is crazy. So, how about some of the performance stuff I'm seeing in chat? Like when I'm running through the forest and I get this hiccup,
Hmm.
it's like a server line type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, performance is something that we're constantly battling. It's probably one of the most difficult things for small studios to get feeling really well, mainly because we don't have the resources to devote to a AAA studio building an MMO is going to have at least one programmer, if not a team of programmers, that's dedicated to performance and optimization. With a smaller team, it's something that we just kind of come and we tackle when we can, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We did recently fix a major issue with movement. So movement was falling out of sync between the server and the clients. And in fact, it was giving mages an unfair advantage over warriors, and we fixed that recently. That was a pretty big change. I feel like it might have scared away some of our warriors who were trying to participate in PVE,
Mm-hmm.
PvP. So that was a big one for us. But yeah, it's just a constant battle. The other one is that AAA studios have access to the source code of their engine. Electronic Arts has access to the source code of Unity, so they have much more resources to tackle performance issues where we don't have access to that kind of.
Right. They charge big bucks for that, I think.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just caught a golden aetherfish.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
Very
only the
nice.
second one I've ever caught.
Cool. Yeah, that's the rarest fish in the game.
That's what I was thinking.
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
small, but hey.
Well, better than nothing.
Yeah.
I wonder if he tastes good.
And David says he's still having issues with sync. One thing that our players can do to help us is if they can figure out a way where they can cause it to happen consistently, a reproducible
Mm.
steps, it helps us a lot. So if you are able to figure out if I do X, Y, and Z, or if my latency is high, or whatever it is that causes it to fall out of sync, because if we can't make it happen locally, like on our own box, our own computers, then it's really, really hard to debug.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So, what? Okay, you mentioned earlier. Was it a town hall?
Yes.
Or
Yep. So,
yeah, and
so
that's tonight or something.
yeah. So that takes place both in game and on Twitch. So I mentioned that we're going to be doing a raffle. So I'm sure that a lot of our players will be hanging out around the house when it goes up. I
Mm-hmm.
think the auction for the house, or not the auction, but the final picking of the raffle ticket
Hail
will
to the
happen at
Dragon
around
King, baby.
10 p.m. Eastern tonight. And that's at the house outside Eldir. But also we're hosting the town hall at the Valis stage. There's a grand stage in Valis. So we'll probably open a portal from there to the house that's up for raffle, so that we can travel between them. Yeah, so we're basically, the big thing that we're excited about for the town hall is we're showcasing features for our PR9. So we'll be showcasing both the bazaar and the militia content. Our
Mm-hmm.
players don't actually know what's in store for militias; just all they know is that one screenshot. So we're really excited to reveal that. They have a pretty good idea of the bazaar because I believe we did a blog post on that one. But
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
so it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun. Aside from the raffle, I think we're giving away a premium subscription or two, and there might be something else too that I'm not thinking about. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So even if you can't join us in game, you can join us on the official Legends of Aria Twitch channel.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, I'll drop the link to that in here.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy to find,
I would
but
think so.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So,
uh, where where's Legends of Aria at in the year?
So we are obviously working to get ourselves out of early access. The things like the bazaar. So there was basically two main things that were keeping us from leaving early access. One of them is quality of life, and the other one is bugs. Um, because we have an absolute ton of content, right? I mean, there are players that have put in thousands of hours into this game. So, I mean, our game has way more content than many released games. So, I don't believe that content is the thing that's holding us back from going out of early access. The thing that's holding us back from going out of early access are the things that make people want to quit the game. Those are the things that we need to tackle before we leave early access. And so that's, things like the bazaar. That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
We're tackling a major issue with militias, with the militia changes, and we'll get into detail tonight about that. So that's going to be one more roadblock knocked out. Another one is our profession system needs a lot more depth to it. So we're working on that. But we're getting closer and closer to leaving early access, and we're excited about that because leaving early access is another opportunity for us to get attention, right, from media, players in general, where they say, well, if the devs think this game is ready to leave early access, then it might be ready for me to check it out. So we're making sure that we're ready. And the thing that we're doing is we're avoiding low-level systems changes between now and then because the game is very stable right now.
Mm-hmm.
Performance issues aside, and bugs, the core system and the rules that we're with and everything, they're pretty much here to stay. We're happy with the PvP the way it is. So that's one of those big things that was stopping us aside from bugs and quality of life was getting the PvP rules right. We entered into early access, still not 100% sure of how we were going to handle criminals and where you can't PvP. So that's behind us now. So yeah, it really just comes down to finishing up some bugs, quality of life, and getting those professions rounded out. Because right now, the only professions that give you combat abilities is fighter, mage, and rogue, and the rogue only has one ability in it. So it feels a little bit too restrictive for a sandbox game. We need to work on some additional combat professions to really make it feel more open-ended. Then there's a reason why we do restrict it. It's because before we restricted what types of abilities you could have, people were taking partial amounts of skills to build these kind of like overpowered, unbalanced builds that had access to way too many abilities. So it was kind of a necessary evil for us to introduce professions to kind of limit what abilities you could bring to a PvP battle. But at the same time, we need to open it up a bit more so it doesn't feel so constrained. When you enter this beautiful, open-ended sandbox world, you don't ever want anything to make a player feel like they're being held back. And so that's why the
Mm-hmm.
professions are one of the big ones for us before we leave early access.
Mm-hmm. You'd mentioned earlier about community a little bit. Like you mentioned a website that was like listing, items and available at vendors and stuff. Um, and then you said you were adding some things into the game. Um, does this mean that you're adding some tools that like websites can get information from, or you're just replicating what was like on that site into the game
So
locally?
it was actually, I think it was UO that had the website that listed all the items, and we were using that as an example for how to build our bazaar, but we built it in game.
Mm-hmm.
But we did build the bazaar in a way where we could eventually like expose some sort of API, and we did the same thing with our kill board. Our kill board tracks where players are being killed in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to Eve's. So those two things are things that we would like to expose the API to those two players at some time. But
Yeah.
it's tough with a small team because exposing it is one thing, making sure that it's not open to abuse is another.
Yes.
And
Correct.
bigger companies have more resources to kind of tackle those sorts of things. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely on our radar. It's one of those things we would love to expose the API for both the kill board. The kill board gives you more than just kills; it gives you access to who's in what guilds and stuff like that too. Like a MyUO type thing. So that would be great to have an API for, and then also the bazaar as well to show. Uh, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. The that could start off really small too. Innocuous things that don't matter.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So
you're right. You start with the Killboard API, maybe just expose, one or two
you
things, and
know
then slowly build on it. That's true.
the kills today, and like somebody was asking, how do you show how much time you've played or whatnot, and slash time played, but you know, some things like that, which doesn't matter. It's not a competitive advantage to know how long somebody's played.
Right.
Um, so, but it's something that people are interested in.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, I would definitely
Oak
support
said he
seeing
has
some stuff like
17
that.
days played on one account and 15 on the other.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
mine, and
content is not our problem.
I have 9 days, 2 hours, 11 minutes.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Content is not what's holding us back from early access. That's for sure. That's one thing
Hmm.
we have plenty of. Even though it seems on the surface we don't. That's actually one of those things that we constantly have to tackle as well. Is a lot of players who aren't familiar with this kind of game, they come in and they expect the content to be handed to them. So it's the old adage of they leave town, run around the housing area, all they find are animals walking around, and then they go, "This game has no content." It's just because they're not used to a kind of game where you have to go find the content, you know.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things that it's so hard to balance giving players tools and means to find the content while at the same time not forcing it down their throats. And the leagues of Celador and the profession system are two kind of examples of that. Although the fighter professions are kind of required to get access to your prestige abilities. So
Complexity.
yeah, yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good for long-term play.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I don't have any more questions.
Okay, cool.
What else do you want to tell us, if anything?
I mean, aside from coming and participating in the town hall, I'm a little bit limited on what I can reveal here now because we have the town hall coming tonight. So we're trying to to save some of the spicy stuff for tonight.
Mm.
But I spent 1% of the last year on OA. I definitely would like to encourage. I know you had a lot of players. You actually have one of the biggest guilds back at
Yeah,
Final Wipe. Um,
yeah. We're
the
over
game,
500, but they're all inactive.
yeah, the game is very different from Final Wipe to Steam to now. There's so much more to explore and items to get, especially with artifacts and enchantments, and the PvP being open again. A lot of players that have left, I really encourage them to come back and check it out, especially with PR9 because malicious is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get a lot of
Mhm.
excitement around malicious in this next release. So players who like that kind of large scale PvP definitely are going to enjoy that. So I would say
And,
that.
and when is the next release?
We're saying mid-February.
All right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have combat logs right now, unfortunately. That would be a good thing to add. Our game's not really about min-maxing, although there are some players that really get into that. Um,
I,
so
I,
yeah, it's
I, I don't like min maxing.
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
it's the
it's
people
challenging.
who come and like, how fast can I crush him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say that name. Jordan was asking what makes us different from other sandbox games. So, I mean, sandbox is such a broad term and encompasses so many games now. Um, so, I mean, it's one of those things where if you're looking for a game that you can call home, where you know the players, you have kind of a sense of community. When you go to Eldir Bank, you know people that are there. Like our game is a world that you can kind of find yourself in and lose yourself in. And it's a game that if you really like going out and finding things for yourself, nobody's going to help you find an artifact. You got to figure out where they are. You got to get the guys together to do it. You got to build your character to do it. You're not going to be able to just follow a quest line and at the end of that quest get an artifact. So yeah, our game is way more designed for a player that wants a challenging, not just challenging in the sense of like I'm better at this game than you, so I beat you every time, but challenging in the sense that like you have to learn the game, you have to learn the world, you have to learn everything.
Yeah. You were talking about community, and the first thing I thought of was like, where you said where everybody knows your name. And it's such a famous line from Cheers.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, oh, Legend of Aria Cheers release.
Right. That's funny.
We all get drunk with our friends.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Mark, why don't I take you over to where the house is for
Oh,
sale?
sure.
That way you can you have 20 gold on you. You at least buy one ticket.
Well, let me get some gold. I have to get it out of a box over here.
Okay.
Now, okay, I'm a business partner with you guys.
Right.
If I won this, think of
Give
all
it
the
away.
shit that would happen.
Yeah. You have
Oh,
to
I
give
could
it
give
away,
it.
probably.
I give it away again. Oh yeah, we could just
That'd
we
be
could just
funny.
do. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm bringing all my gold.
There you go.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Let's open
Yeah.
the portal.
If I
So
win it,
we're
we'll
not
give it away. Woo.
we're not picking a. Why does that say unsafe? That's a bug. Don't tell me that portal took us to the wrong place. No, it didn't. Okay. I don't know why it said it was an unsafe location. Head kind of up out of town there to the west, I guess. Yeah, it's
The
west.
west.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep, that's the right way. Just keep going straight there. I try not to appear in game with my god character, so I'm just gonna kind of follow you.
Right.
But yeah, so the way we're doing this raffle is the random generator in Lua is going to be selecting the winner. That way we don't have to worry about, if somebody that's kind of established in the community wins, they can't cry foul. So it's up here. You passed it. Come back. It's to your left. Where'd you go? The other way. Sorry,
The
I
other
was looking
left?
at your screen. I was looking at the direction you were running. Yep, right over there. You see that little red glowy thing in the middle of the
Oh
yard?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for those of you who aren't an active player, small hint, you actually do get enough gold with a new character to buy a raffle ticket. So if you want a chance to win this house, Now, as a new player, I would probably just sell the house because I mean, you would make enough money from selling this house to, to probably fund your adventures for years to come.
Oh, how many tickets do I want? Oh, I got to do math. All right, so 5240 divided by 20. It's 262 tickets.
Go for it. Make sure you erase the enter amount thing
Yeah.
in there.
All right. Purchase. Type confirm in all capital letters. Oh.
We didn't want anybody to claim that they accidentally bought like 10,000 tickets because it takes it from their bank.
Oh, I didn't know it'd take it from the bank because I brought all the gold with me.
What kind of time investment does it take to earn a house? It all depends on how you play. It really, really does. Because if you're just playing focused on money, you can probably earn a house in a few days of playing a few hours a night. But most people don't. Most people are more just exploring the game and learning the skills and trying different skills. So yeah, it's definitely it's variable. Most people probably it takes them a week or so before they can get a house, or maybe even a little more than a week, because you have to buy a land deed, and then you have to buy a house blueprint.
Right, and then you have to get all the resources.
Right. Yeah, to build the house.
Yeah.
Do I think the bazaar will devalue houses? No, not necessarily, because the house value is more of a function of supply than it is demand, if that's right. In other words, when people have money to spend, they're going to spend it on houses because houses is like the most important thing in the game. So I don't see the value of real estate dropping very much from the bazaar.
It actually might make some stuff that's even further out a little bit more valuable.
Right.
Just because it's going to introduce people to new areas when they go to pick up their stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think also it's going to make it much more viable for your average player to run a merchant. I think that's probably a big part of it, because right now, if you just get a house in the middle of nowhere, you can't really run a merchant. Nobody will ever go there. So it's going to definitely open up the merchant market. I think it will probably be a little detrimental to people who were abusing the fact that it was hard to find items. So players were making a lot of money by selling items for a lot more than they were worth. Now items are going to sell for closer to what they're actually worth. So I mean, some people see that as a downside. Other people see it as a plus. You know, it's both.
Actually,
It's a pro and a con.
that's going to cause prices to fall closer in.
Right. And but also, you know, one of the things that we really, really wanted to do was reduce the reliance on Discord for our game. So you know, that's where most of the trading took place. For if you were looking for a very specific item and you didn't feel like window shopping for days, you know, you would basically just say you're buying it in a trade channel. We don't want to force our players to have to go to Discord in order to participate in the world. So that was one of the big motivators for the bazaar.
Which I don't do anyway. I knew it was there, but I decided I didn't want to do it. But that was just
right.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's definitely still value for having a house close to town because it does show the distance to the house when you're looking at the bazaar. And also, window shopping will still very much be a thing. I think there's a lot of players that just want to kind of go out and see what's out for sale. You know, I've got some money. What can I buy? And the bazaar is not great for just kind of browsing. It's more like I'm looking for a very specific.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, if I win that, then I will. We'll do another draw. We'll do it on the show or something, you know. But I'll make it more than just one show worth of draw.
Like I said, when I built the raffle system, I designed it to be able to be run by players. So maybe in one of our future updates, we'll offer that, and then who knows? Maybe the guy who buys it wants to do a raffle.
So when you introduce that, all the players can do that. I will put up a Marquee Dragon mask on there, and we can kick off with that item that everybody's been wanting.
Sounds good.
So, all right.
Cool. Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah. No, I'll have you back again because each time you've been here, I learn more about the game, but then I also hear about things that I didn't even know about that now I want to go and investigate. So
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
yeah, yeah. No, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Awesome.
So, all right.
So yeah, again, I'll just leave everybody with we have another event coming up tonight at 9:30 on the Legends of Aria Twitch channel, and also we'll be forming up at the Valis Grand Stage. Um, so yeah, we hope everybody joins us tonight, and we'll be revealing a major new feature for the militia system.
All right.
So
Thank you, buddy. I
okay,
appreciate your time.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right. So, yeah, I won't be there tonight for the drawing. What the hell is that he's writing? Oh my God. Never seen such a thing. And so yeah, I'll be in bed asleep at 10 o'clock, just because I'm up at like 5 in the morning. But anyway, yeah, now I'll have to put more Legends of Aria on the schedule, especially since we got it working right. I'm so happy about that. I just probably need to do something with my camera here. It's not very good. So maybe I'll switch my whole camera system around. I don't know. But anyway, the so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. It gives me a lot of new stuff that I have to go for, and because I wasn't sure what I was doing coming back in today, so I'm happy about that. Oh, hey, another one of our DOA guys. Oh, and he has a Marquee Dragon mask. How about that? Speaking of the masks, you can only get them here on the show. It's the only way you can win one. And exclamation point giveaway in YouTube or in Twitch. And so get in on that. We're going to draw here in a few minutes, and one lucky person is going to get one of these masks. And then, yeah, you can wear it proudly in the game, or go and sell it in the game. And I think you can get a lot of gold for it. So a lot. And yeah. So all right. Very good. Right, let me look at stuff here. Start getting this giveaway ready. Find where I got the masks. I don't remember. Isn't that funny? There it is. So if you win this, it'll be a code mailed to you, and the then you just redeem it in your Legends of Aria account. It's actually the same way that you redeem if you got VIP or whatever in if you buy a code from us. You redeem the codes the same way. You just log in, and actually there's a little thing in there. Ooh, look at how the light changed. Man, I tell you that I'm really, really happy about the building this other machine. Who knew that a 7-year-old machine, I think that's about how old most of these parts are, would perform so well in Unity games? And I'm just really thrilled with it. Like my average FPS right now with everything on Ultra is about 50. So the Yeah, and if you're gonna sell, just if you're gonna sell your mask, don't take the first offer because seriously, I've been offered by more than one person $500 in real life. Now you can't sell stuff in real life for money like that. The reason they probably came to me and offered that was because we do sell other stuff for the game, but these masks are not official to be sold like that. You can only win them. But that means that people really want it, and they would pay a lot of gold in the game to get one of these masks. So, what was the secret to getting it working? Yeah, it's a complete machine build that's in the specifications that Unity likes. Single GPU, single monitor, and that really made a huge difference. And it's dumb that it did, but it did. And then we ended up. LOA wasn't working right at first, but then we ended up with. I got some other patch. I don't even know what it was. It was some Windows patch that I was missing apparently, and once I got that in, bam! It just all of a sudden started working. So, anyway, all right. So everybody should have their stuff in by now. Their entry in. So I will be reading off whatever message was put in. I'm sorry, the mic is on the other side of me here. It's just this new setup. I gotta refine my setup here more. Oh, you want to join the guild? I see. Let's see. Invite to group. Invite to guild. There we go. This whole setup is not optimal yet. I'm probably gonna have to reconfigure my office just a little bit to get all this shit figured out. But anyway, okay. So I will read off whatever game name you put in or whatever name you put in. If you didn't put one in, I'll read off your real first name and just last initial to keep you anonymous, but you'll still know who you are if you win. And everybody has a chance to win. Even if you've won before, we don't limit it one per person. It's one person chosen at random. I feel like I'm ignoring you all, turning my back to you. Gosh darn it. All right. Congratulations to somebody who's been around for a long time. Shosendar says, love the show. That's the line that he puts on everything. So congratulations, Shosendar. And there you go. Check your email. You'll find that contained within. Now I guess I'm going to see you in Legends of Aria. So, there we go. All right. Okay, everybody. That's going to be it for today. Tomorrow, we're going to do more This Land Is My Land. And I don't have any affiliation with that game whatsoever, whatnot, but it's kind of a survival action game. If you haven't seen it, it is very unique. It is very different than anything else you've seen. It's a little bit controversial in a way, too. So, anyway, I invite you all to join. We're going to do that tomorrow. And so, I hope to see you all then.
Welcome.
Everybody
to
have
the
a great
Dragons.
Friday. Don't go out and get too drunk tonight because you're going to need to be here for the show tomorrow, right? Okay, there you go. And Puddlefoot, thank you for the follow now, too. Okay, everybody, take care, and see you all tomorrow.